Bart has accepted the responsibility of completing his homework on time, even if it means staying up all night in order to do so. Unfortunately, Bart passes out only 15 minutes into his homework. He then enters a dream where his homework papers fly out of the window. It's up to Bart to find all of his homework pages or else he'll find himself condemned to the 4th grade forever. Bart's Nightmare was released on the Super Nintendo in 1992, and then it got a Sega Genesis port in 1993. It's obviously based off The Simpsons, and hopefully I don't need to explain to you what The Simpsons is. The game itself is a mixed bag. Some will like it due to the overall presentation and the diversity of the minigames you have to play through. Others will hate it due to the high difficulty and the confusing mechanics that are hard to figure out. Granted, this is a claim we're talking about. They've been involved in some ridiculously unforgiving games during this time. As for when I'll get to them, I can't say for sure. In any case, let's stay on topic and go over the controls. For now, I'll only go over the Windy World. A is to jump, B will blow bubblegum, and C will shoot watermelon seeds. You can control the bubblegum's movement by holding B and using the D-pad. If you have a soda can, you can press up or down while holding C to destroy the enemies on screen. You can also scroll the screen left or right by holding C and pressing one of those directions. Bart's Nightmare is a game that can fit multiple genres. The main premise is that you must collect 8 homework pages in order to have a chance at seeing the credits. I say chance since your score will also need to be high enough to get a good grade at the end. Each homework page is earned by finishing a minigame. Bartzilla and the Temple of Maggie can award 2 pages each if you get through them without losing. Itchy and Scratchy also has 2 pages to earn, but you'll be sent back to the Windy World after getting the first page. As for Bartman and Bart's Bloodstream, they will give 1 page each upon completion. So, how do you attempt these minigames? Well, you have to find a homework page in the Windy World, jump into it, then pick one of 2 colored doors, with the colors representing a specific minigame. Unfortunately, finding homework pages is the worst part about this game. You'll find them fast early on, but it could take forever later on in the game. This can greatly pad the game's length, as it could take well over an hour to get all 8 pages. But it doesn't end there. You see those Z's? That represents your health. When you lose all of your Z's, the screen will turn white, signaling that Bart is about to wake up. Take one more hit and the game is over. The grade you get will depend on the pages collected and your score, but as mentioned before, you'll only see the credits if you get all 8 pages and enough points. Thankfully, you'll only lose a Z for failing at a minigame, so you can potentially play forever if you never lose all of your health in the Windy World. As for everything else in the Windy World, there's a lot to go over. For starters, you can usually find a homework page by walking in one direction. Sometimes it might be to the left or maybe to the right, you won't know for sure. Another is that there are numerous obstacles that you need to understand to get through this game more consistently. They'll get more aggressive as you get further in. Some can even make a page appear under the right conditions. From here, I'll go over them and save the minigame explanations for the long play. If you'd rather skip to the long play, then you can check the timestamps below. The blue Z's are your main way of getting more health. If your bubblegum touches a blue Z, the Z will float up and you will gain a Z if it touches your health bar. If the bubble touches a red Z, it will simply pop. If you only have 1 Z left, you can make a longer health bar by getting a blue Z as far as possible from the last Z you have. The mailbox will go across the street when you get near it. It's important to jump over them since they can give bubblegum, seeds, or a soda can. They can also turn into a question mark that supposedly points to where the homework page is, but I had an experience where I found a page by going in the other direction, so I can't say for sure how accurate it is. The walking TV will usually appear when you walk along the street. If you break it with a watermelon seed, it can make a homework page appear. I think this can only happen once, so I saved this for the mid to late game. The basketball will turn into a skateboard if you jump over it. While riding the skateboard, you'll recover health and it will automatically make your health bar longer if you ride long enough. However, the ride will end if you go over any cracks on the sidewalk or rocks and sewer coverings on the street. It also goes in a predetermined direction, so if you're walking to the right to find a page and the basketball is going left, you're better off ignoring it. Blinky the fish will occasionally swim by. If you jump over it, you'll earn a pillow. Getting 3 pillows will give you life insurance, meaning you'll revive with a few Z's upon taking your last hit. Principal Skinner will walk by and give you a suit if you come in contact. This suit will slow you down and prevent you from using bubblegum and seeds. On the bright side, it does make you invincible to damage, though you will enter a long animation upon being hit. Skinner will turn away if you hit him with 3 seeds, or you can blow bubblegum at his face to prevent him from giving you the suit upon contact. A mud puddle will sometimes appear and move around. It will lower your movement speed to a crawl if it comes in contact. You can prevent this by jumping into the puddle to make it splash. If you do this with the suit on, it will immediately get rid of the suit. Fairy Lisa will appear often. If you get near her, You will only have a brief moment to move out of the way before she turns you into a frog. As a frog, you can't use bubblegum or shoot seeds. You'll need the help of Grandma to turn you back. Speaking of Grandma, she will occasionally appear and blow a kiss if you're nearby. This kiss will cure the frog status, otherwise it will take away 10 points. If you blow bubblegum into Grandma's face, a homework page will appear. This can only happen once, so save this for mid to late game. Lisa's saxophone will drop a blue note that will reverse your movement temporarily upon contact. It'll fly away and make an obnoxious sound upon jumping into it. If you're in frog form, jumping into the saxophone will make a page appear. As with the previous triggers, this can only happen once. If you're trying to find a saxophone, you can try crossing the street multiple times to make one spawn. The statue head of Jebediah Springfield is very annoying to deal with. They'll usually come in packs that can sometimes feel like there's no end to them. It doesn't help that they can appear behind trees in the foreground. You can jump over them or try to dodge them by going up and down, but you run the risk of getting run over by the bus that drives across the street. I didn't mention that most of these hazards will only deal 1Z of damage. Jimbo and the gang is the only exception. If you come into contact with them, they'll force you to walk in their direction and you'll lose multiple Z's the longer you're with them. During this, you'll have to jump and touch a flying saxophone, which will make Fairy Lisa appear and turn them into rats. If you have a soda can, you can make a page appear by using it right when they make contact. If you do it before Bart gravitates toward them, it won't count. Like with the other page triggers, save this for near the end of the game. Now don't worry about the mini games, I got plenty to say about them during the long play. If you'd rather read a written guide on this game, you can check out the link in the description below. Now let's settle this nightmare. Alright, and this is Bart's Nightmare for the Sega Genesis. As usual, there are a few things I want to mention. First off, I did play this on a Mega SG, and I'm commentating over a run that I already did. And second is that, normally, I always make these videos or, guides because I enjoy doing so, but you can imagine my surprise when the last video I did, which was all of the endings to this game, got, a ton of views and, attention and all that. People commented and liked it. And while I do make guides for fun, guides and videos for fun just because I want to, I would be lying if y'all guys didn't motivate me to keep going, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But no matter what happens, whether a video gets 100,000 views or even 1 view, I am going to keep doing what I enjoy doing. So yeah, thanks a bunch, and I really do appreciate it. Now onto the game. So first thing you want to do is walk right. The first page usually appears pretty quickly. You can see it right there. And we can now enter our first minigame by jumping into it. I think you could just walk across it, but I usually just jump into it. Now the orange door is the Temple of Maggie, and this is a puzzle game where you have to jump on certain platforms to make other platforms go up. If a platform is too low, it will just sink and you will lose a life. Now, I am going to put a picture of where to go, hopefully right now. And because the stage is always the same, this will always work. So you want to go down twice and go right 9 times and trigger Maggie by holding C and hold right. By holding C, you will scroll the screen, which can trigger traps like that. I think for that case, I didn't have to scroll the screen though. Now the next move is right up and then right twice, and then I gotta go down, right, and then up twice. And I think I'm gonna wait here for the demon just in case. To attack, you have to hold A and then press the direction. And now I have to go right, down, right twice and trigger Maggie. So hold C and then hold right. There we go. Now you want to go right, but first let's take care of this demon. They always spawn at the same timer. I'll get into that in a bit. So right, up twice, right, down 3 times, and trigger Maggie. But yeah, after a short while, a demon will always appear. So just get ready to attack them and then move on. So right, go up 3 times and then right. And now you want to go down, right 3 times, and then down again, right 3 times. I'm going to take care of the demon. There we go. Now we got to go up, right, and we're going to trigger Maggie by holding C and holding right. Now you just go right, down twice, and you hold right to end part 1 of Temple of Maggie. Now the second stage is dangerous. It can still be handled the same way, just by going in a specific path. But the problem is that green demons can appear, and if you whip them, you actually instantly lose. So you actually have to avoid them instead of attacking them. So for the first part, right 3 times, down twice, and then up twice. So I'm going to wait a bit for the demon to appear. The blue ones you can hit, the green ones you should not. Now go right 6 times, trigger Maggie. There we go. And I go right 6 more times and trigger Maggie again. Alright, that was really risky. I should have waited for the demon first, but it's fine. I go down right 4 times, trigger Maggie. Now you want to go down left and up 3 times. I think a green demon spawns here. If this happens, you better move it. Again, you can't attack it, so you just have to deal with it. Now I gotta move right 10 times. And I gotta remember to trigger Maggie so I don't get hit by the pacifier. There we go. Down twice, right twice, and for the final you want to do down, right, up, and hold right to reach the end of part 2. There we go. So I made that look easy. It's easy to get like I made that look easy, but you can easily get like sidetracked like in the path you're in. Like maybe you forget where you left off or whatnot. So that's why in the guide I put it in bullet points. So usually after each bullet point I just stop for a bit in case a demon appears. So if you can follow the path, it's pretty manageable. Now I got really lucky there. Our page was just like sitting out in the open right when I came back. So again, if you're playing this, there's a chance that that probably won't happen. And I decided to go in the green door, which is Bartzilla. Now in this game, you can press multiple directions or the buttons to attack in different areas. I'm going to say this right now. The only one that matters is forward, A, and C. A is used to destroy the tanks. Forward is used to destroy the helicopters, and C is used to destroy the jets. Now the helicopter, all of these vehicles, you know, the helicopters, jets, and tanks, they can only hit you when they're in the same lane. So you don't have to hit the ones in the background. You'll see me occasionally do that by pressing down, but you really don't have to. And you'll also notice that when Bart kicks like a building or a nuclear plant, it will destroy all enemies on screen. Now, with the tanks and helicopters, they can appear out of nowhere. Like, you don't see them, like, come... How can I say this? You don't see the helicopters, like... They'll pop up in the bottom of the screen and then be on their way, but they can still just appear out of nowhere. Now, the jets... they actually do give a warning, at least. So when you see one coming by the bottom, that means they're about to come by in your lane and attack you. So that's when you want to get ready to press C in advance. So I should have did that right there, but I was just looking at the nuclear plant since it was just gonna destroy all of the enemies on screen anyways. And I think I'm pretty close to dying. Like, you can't see your health, but I think it's about 10 hits and then it'll boot you back to the windy world. But yeah, forward for the helicopters, A for the tanks. The helicopters and the tanks are most important because, again, they appear out of nowhere. There's no warning, so you always want to be ready for them. Like, you know, it's kind of... I was using the laser there because I was scared of the jet when I should have been scared of the random helicopter that appeared out of nowhere. So yeah, just forward, A, and C is really all you need. And as you see more and more jets appear, that means you're getting closer to the end. I think when you see about like 4 of them, that means you're really close. So yeah, just keep going. I'm just pressing C in advance so I can shoot any helicopters. I should say jets that fly by. Yeah, there's 4 of them. I think we should be close. There it is. That's the ray. Now when this ray appears, it will shrink you to size and you gain the first page of the homework. At least for this part, I should say. Now you, unlike actually we haven't gotten to that mini game yet, so I'll save that for later. But similar to Temple of Maggie, if you're successful, you immediately go into part 2. Now you have to climb this tall building by holding up. You can also move to the sides, which will be important for avoiding these obstacles. And my strategy for this part is to, like, if I see an object fall above me and dodge it, I immediately go back into that same line because I know for sure that another person won't immediately appear in that same line to draw another object. Now when Mom Draw appears, you want to stick to the pipe and then you want to immediately go back on it as soon as possible. And I say like as possible since you obviously have to watch out for the objects and all that. Now the reason why you don't want to stay on the pipes for long is because one, you hear UFO, like you can see it in the background. If that zaps you, it's instant, like it's an instant game over. You would just instantly like get sent back to the windy world with no exception. Now another reason you want to get off the pipes quickly is because you can climb up the pipes, but I swear it feels like a death sentence because there are times I climb up the pipes and when I go back on the building, like the camera's just scrolling up like a bit more and it just immediately causes a game over because like the game considers it considers Bart too low to the screen as if like I failed or something. So I don't ever move up while I'm on the pipes. I just stay on it and I immediately get back on it. I just focus on getting back on the building. I never press up while I'm on the pipes. So we are getting close to the top. Thankfully, Mantra will stop appearing once you get to these 2 lines right here. And the strategy is simple. Just keep shifting lines every time you see the object fall. Now at the end will be Homer Kong. What you need to do is press up right when he punches in order to like preemptively. You see it in a bit. So again, just dodging the objects, dodging the objects. Now, right when he punches, you want to press up. So wait, up now, and then you want to press A, B, or C to shock him, and that will be the end of Bartzilla. So yeah, I do think the part with Mantra can be rough because when you take a hit, you will fall down a few floors. It won't cause an instant death or anything. Like you can get multiple chances if you're high enough. But yeah, Mantra can be annoying, but if you can get through that, it's actually not too bad. So far, we have 4 pages out of 8, and this is where we're gonna have to find 8 more pages in total. I should say 4 more pages in total in order to finish the game. Now I'm collecting a bunch of Z's here. I think it's here I decided to use one of the triggers where if you put the bubble gum into Grandma's face, a page will appear like that. So it's usually when you like get to the halfway point, like after you get 2 pages in the overworld, I should say the windy world, that's when you want to start using the triggers. So now we enter Bartman, which is the blue colored door, and this is one of my favorites. It's not like, I mean, it's not like amazing or anything, but I do think it's the more like straightforward. You just get into it and you just shoot whatever's in your way. Now the controls are simple. You can move around with the D-pad, and you can press A to use your slingshot. Now if you hold A, you'll see Bart kind of like aim it like back and forth, and letting go at the right time will determine like how far the slingshot is shot. That doesn't really matter too much. You can just get through this by mashing, which is better since it means you're doing more damage. Now that icon appeared. I don't think I ever got to mention that in the guide, because when I was making the guide, I never got it to drop. If I'm not, hopefully I'm correct in that when you get that Z icon to drop from the crusty balloons, it refills your Z meter to max when you enter the windy world. So you'll see that later. Now I didn't really have to talk about that boss. All you gotta do is just keep hitting the trends. Just keep hitting the trends, and you should be good. You can hit the balloon itself as well, and it'll deal damage. And you might have noticed that the boss had a health bar on the right, which is represented by a square that is it will shrink as you deal damage to the boss. But yeah, that boss is simple. Thankfully, I don't have to say much about it. The next boss coming. Really, this whole mini game is just like, it's a shoot 'em up. There's multiple bosses to fight. So now we gotta face Barney, and this fight's a little annoying because you kind of have to like bait him down here so that you can actually get some hits in and then like attack up. Because the problem with Bart is that he moves like, when you're going straight up, he moves kind of slow, which is weird because when he goes straight down, he moves kind of fast. Like it's, you know, gravity or something, right? But yeah, you can take a few hits here, but it's not too bad. His attacks aren't too dangerous, so you should be good. Another thing I forgot to mention is that the crusty balloons, you saw earlier, they can drop health, they can drop the Z, like the full Z meter thing, and they can also drop a 1-up. I am glad to say that this minigame and another one coming up called Itchy and Scratchy, you do have multiple lives to mess up. It's not like the Temple of Maggie where you need to get an egg in order to have like life insurance. I didn't get to mention that either. That's why you saw me get the egg in the beginning of that minigame. But yeah, there is room for error is what I'm trying to say. This boss is weird. I think the blue darts will go after you when you're like under him, and the red darts will go after you when you're above him. I'm not entirely sure, but if there's one thing I know is that these darts deal a ton of freaking damage. I think 2 alone will just cause an instant death. Like they each deal half of your health. But thankfully this boss isn't too bad. You are going to have to face him twice though, so it's easy to lose a ton of like life and lives here. And another thing is that if you can actually make him use all of his darts, he'll run away. So realistically, you can try to like bait him into using all of the darts instead, and then he'll just like, it would just end the boss battle and you'll keep moving on. But for this case, I just took all of his health to 0, and now we can continue with the stage. I think it's this part where it introduces nuclear clouds. So hopefully we'll see that in a bit. Unless I'm wrong and we gotta face him again first. It has, again, like I did this run recently, so it's kind of embarrassing that I already forgot like what's coming up, but it's because I'm used to like just reactionary based like gameplay. I don't like memorizing too much unless I absolutely need to. Alright, So the green clouds, if you touch these, it will drain your health like butter, and if that happens, immediately get out. Now thankfully you can just barely squeeze through. Ooh, that was close. So you can just barely squeeze through these clouds without like coming into contact. I think I actually get in. Ooh, that was a lot of health. So yeah, I just barely got into contact there, which is unfortunate, but we still got plenty of life, so we should be good. And yeah, we gotta face this guy again, but again, it's not too bad. I got unlucky there. So the problem with trying to face him is that you can destroy his darts with your slingshot, but the problem is when he's too close, because when that happens, your shots will get eaten by his like big hitbox, and you won't be able to hit the darts, and you'll probably just take a hit because of it. But yeah, after you deal with him, there will be one boss left to face. So it should go down soon. There we go. And now we are on to the final boss. And there aren't much obstacles here. I think it would just be missiles and a few hang gliders. And if I'm right, yeah, there he is. Apu will occasionally drop I forgot what they're called. It's a certain drink that Bart has in the show. But yeah, they do give you some health. So if you're low on health, they will be helpful. I don't know how else to put it. And yeah, at this point, I'm just waiting for the boss battle to start. Here we go. And now we have to face Mr. Burns. I should mention, I think the previous character was Smithers. Again, it's been a while since I've watched any Simpsons, so I'm sorry if I'm getting these characters' names wrong, but I'm pretty sure like the previous boss was Mr. Smithers, and this is Burns. Okay, so this boss battle is a bit weird. He'll occasionally just like fly across the screen and shoot his machine gun. Now, thankfully, you can tell he's about to fly by hearing the sound of his machine gun, which is very helpful. And what I usually do here is when he's flying to the left, I stick to the middle and keep shooting. And then when he's coming from the right, I should say when he's coming from the left, like flying to the right, I go to the left side of the screen and like move down a bit. So you see that here, he'll fly to the right, I'm just moving down to avoid his attack. And then I go back in the middle and go up, like hit some shots in order to like... I shoot preemptively so that the slingshot lands on his plane as he's about to like fly by. So that's why you see me mashing the button there. So again, I'll do the same thing here. Now, this plan isn't 100%. You'll see me get hit a few times trying to do this. Thankfully, it's safe, especially if you got plenty of lives to spare, because unlike the previous boss, he doesn't deal a lot of damage, so you can take plenty of risk here. Like, there's really not much like danger, especially if you have 3 lives up to this point. So yeah, you can see there, like I took a hit, but I barely lost any health from it. So yeah, there's plenty of room for error here. Just like I stick to the left when he's coming from the left, and I go in the middle when he's coming from the right. He should go down really soon. He has literally no health left. I'm surprised he's not down yet. But he should go down in the next 2 cycles. Alright, no problem. Just a few more hits. There we go, and now you get a homework page for defeating him. So far we got 3 pages left, which means we actually have 3 triggers left. That is turning into a frog and touching a saxophone, using a soda can against the bullies, and hitting a walking TV with a seed. Now I blew a bubblegum into Grandma's face to show that like you can't use the same trigger twice after winning the minigame. And yeah, for the next trigger, I'm going to turn to a frog, and now I need to make a saxophone appear. And to do this, I'm going to need to... usually a saxophone can pop up if you keep crossing the street. Also, you might notice that like I have a ton of Z's. And I think that was actually due to like getting the Z item in the Bartman. I could be wrong though. Now that's really good. We got a soda can to drop from the mailbox. I think that's the only way you can get a soda can, so... It's important to get those as soon as possible so that if the bullies do come, you have the item you need to trigger a homework page to appear. So yeah, I'm constantly just crossing. I should be waiting for the bus first before crossing the street, but it's fine. I got plenty of Z's to spare, and you saw right there that I did jump over Blinky that gave a pillow, and if I get 3 of them, then that would give me life insurance for when I lose all of my health. But yeah, these statue heads are annoying. They appear so much, and The reason why I just prefer avoiding them instead of trying to jump over them is because like so many can appear and it feels like you're jumping forever and ever. One of the things I hate, one of the things I hate most about the Windy World is that so many of these jumps feel so strict. And you see me moving left and right here because I heard a saxophone, like I heard the sound of it dropping a note. There it is. So all you have to do is jump into it as a frog and a page should appear. There we go. And the Itchy and Scratchy minigame is a yellow door. I always save that for last since there's a way to grind points in that game. So instead, I go in the purple door, which is Bart's Bloodstream. Now this minigame is the most simple, but it can be really brutal. So all you gotta do is you move around with the D-pad and you can pump the viruses by mashing the A button. Obviously, if you press it faster, they go down faster. Now there are two types of germs. There are the ones with the spiky helmets in which they'll fly up and like poke you upwards, and there are the dangerous ones with the grenades and they'll one-shot you. I get into that in a bit, but I do have to explain the purpose of this. So occasionally you hear, I think his name is Smiling Joe. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but like Smiling Joe Fission, something like that. You have to collect him to deactivate the force shield on the top, and he occasionally appear. You hear him say "hello there" or whatever. And once you get him, it will weaken the force field and do it enough times that you can get the homework page. Now, unfortunately, I suffer a very brutal combo. That was a 2-hit combo. I got spiked up to the ceiling and I immediately went into a grenade attack, and grenades one-shot you. It just sends you back to the Windy World and you have to hold that L. It's freaking ridiculous. But welcome to Bart's Nightmare, by the way. Like, get used to it. So that was really mean, and at this point I'm like, okay, well that sucked, but at the bright side, like on the bright side, all I have to do is find Lisa. The reason is because even though you can't use triggers twice upon winning a minigame, if you fail the minigame, like let's say, like I turned into a frog and I touched the saxophone to make a page appear. And I was moving this way because I was trying to get the frog. I mean, to get the frog. I was trying to get the fish just to get another pillow. But yeah, there we go. The triggers, even though they don't work if you clear the minigame, like you can't do a trigger twice after clearing one. If you failed the minigame, like let's say, I triggered it by getting the saxophone and then I did the minigame and failed. Thankfully, you can do that same trigger again and it will still count. So I do appreciate that the developers aren't that ruthless. They are pretty ruthless, but like they could have made this game so much meaner if they wanted to. And I'm so glad that there's like a check for that, because man, I can't imagine just like at that point I would just reset the game if that wasn't the case, Thankfully, that is the case. You can't use the same trigger again if you fail, so nothing to worry about that. Now, I'm pretty sure in this attempt I get it right. You just gotta play it safe. I don't like sticking to the very bottom of the screen since that is, one, it's hardest to find to react to Smiling Joe appearing. And two, the germs do spawn from there, so they can't get a sneaky shot in if you stay near the bottom. I should say near the bottom. But as you can see, that went by much quicker, and we've got the 6th page. And all that's left is the Itchy and Scratchy minigames. So from here, this is where the game gets difficult, as I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Windy World feels way more aggressive, like in terms of like obstacles, the further you go in. And at this point, it becomes a matter of just finding the last 2 pages. And we still got 2 triggers left. We have the TV, which is done by hitting it with a seed, and we have the bullies. Now the bullies feel way more rare to find than the TV, so at this point I'm thinking of, oh, I actually got that to happen, but at this point I'm wondering like which trigger I should go for. Like I'm not entirely sure. I'm probably going to go for the TV at this point, since to make the TV appear you just walk along the streets, which is a little risky since you do you can whatchamacallit, you do run the risk of getting run over by the bus. And unfortunately I did turn into Bart in a suit. As I mentioned before, actually I mentioned a lot of this before, but yeah, while you're in this suit you are invincible. Unfortunately I missed the jump. That's something I didn't mention actually. So when you jump over Blinky, you get a pillow. When you jump over the basketball, it turns into a skateboard. It doesn't count if you get hit. Like, it has to be a clean jump over those obstacles in order for you to get, like, the proper reward for it. So yeah, at this point, I'm just... Wow, she actually just gravitated to the right. That's insane. Yeah, at this point, I'm just... I think I was either trying to look for a TV or I was trying to, whatchamacallit? I was trying to just make a page appear, like, just by luck. Just hoping. There's the bullies. I got unlucky. I wasn't expecting them to pop up. I was actually waiting for the TV. So, I think I'm ready for it the second time. So, you see me walk along the streets and boom. There we go. I think I did it at the, like, the earliest time possible. If I did it, like, a second earlier, it would have counted. So, yeah, both doors are yellow because the only one left is Itchy and Scratchy. You do have to use that soda can when they touch you, like when Bart's gravitating towards them. I did it at the, like, I got really lucky there. I almost did it too early, so I'm glad I actually got that off because, man, like, I don't know if they will have popped up again. Which makes me wonder if maybe the bullies appear more often if you're walking on the streets. I don't know. Now, the Itchy and Scratchy mini game is actually the easiest in my opinion. All you gotta do is get the mallet and just stay close to the wall. As long as you're near this wall, they actually can't hurt you at all. Like, if I wanted to, I could just stay there and their shots would just miss. Which is important for this mini game because it's kind of mean if you don't know about this. But I should mention, if you hit this light bulb, a 1-up can appear. You see that in a bit. There we go. But I'm not gonna really need it, I think. Most of the enemies in this game just one-shot you. These vacuums actually kill you in one hit if they land a hit. If they land a hit. But you get what I mean. Like, a lot of these enemies, like, if they land one hit on you, you just lose a life. And unless you know about this trick of just staying near the wall to avoid their attacks completely, it can be very easy to just lose all your lives in, like, technically in under a minute if you're very unlucky. So after you defeat the enemies, you gotta go up the stairs, go to the right. Same deal here, you can just stay up, like, to avoid all of the enemies. I don't know why I went here, I really didn't have to. I think I go back just to prove a point. You just stay up here and you'll be fine, you don't have to do all of that movement. Now, if you want, you can get the other weapon, but the mallet is the safest weapon for this minigame because you don't have to go in their line of fire in order to hit them. You just stay near the wall, you'll avoid their attacks, and you'll still be able to hit them, which is perfect. So, in terms of safety, the mallet is the best. Now, if you are trying to blow through this minigame, technically the plunger is the best, but I get into that when we get into part 2 of this. Now, for the kitchen, you want to go to the left to trigger the enemies first, and once you see one of them, you want to run away and go back to the wall over here. If you go to the left, there's a lot of, like, kitchen stuff that will try to hit you. I think one of them can even one-shot you, like the fire from the oven. So I prefer just triggering one of the enemies. I think it was Scratchy that popped up first. And yeah, just stay near the wall and you will not get hit. This is the safest way to do it. Like, even a monkey can do this. I'd love to believe. It's really not that hard once you know what to do. And yeah, there's a homework page, and that would be page 7. Unfortunately, we will be kicked back to the Windy World, and I'd love to assume they did this to pad the game because it wasn't like this for Bartzilla, and it wasn't like this for Temple of Maggie. So what's the deal here? Why can't I just, like, go straight into part 2 and just get the second page? Like, come on now. In any case, now this is the dangerous part where I have to get a TV to spawn, and I personally don't like the TVs because they spawn really quickly. They do make a sound when they appear, but the problem is I don't like being in the middle of the streets, and that will lead to what you're seeing here, where I'm just constantly missing and I'm constantly getting hit by everything. I even got slowed down by the mud, and at this point I'm actually getting a little nervous because I'm starting to realize that my health is getting lower and lower. So I'm, like, a bit, like, on edge because I don't look, I mean, I'll save my opinion for this game later, but my point is I really don't want to start this game over. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the TV to appear. What I should be doing is something I didn't mention. I should be scrolling the screen to the right by holding C and holding right, because that will put me further to the left, which will also oh yeah, and you will see my Z's go up from doing this. Unfortunately, I got robbed. I just immediately bumped into Skinner and he got me off the skateboard by giving me a suit. So, and if I could be wrong, but I don't think the bullies or the TV appears while you're wearing this suit, and which wouldn't matter anyways because you can't destroy the TV with seeds. Since you can't use seeds while wearing this. Oh, but yeah, I got lucky. I mean, I don't know if it's because I did something specifically or whatnot, but a page just appeared, and I'm like, okay, great, I don't have to go after the TV. But as I mentioned earlier, what I should have been doing was scrolling the screen to the right so that Bart's closer to the left side of the screen that can react to the obstacles easier, such as the TV. Now the strat for this is you get the plunger weapon and you want to immediately take a hit from Scratchy, which would downgrade it to the mallet. And as I mentioned before, the mallet is the safest weapon for this minigame. Now if you're trying to blow through this minigame like butter, technically the plunger is the best because there's a quote-unquote boss at the end of this, and the plunger will take it out incredibly quickly, whereas the fire extinguisher, it takes a very long time. But in terms of safety, just get the plunger, get hit by Scratchy's tongue since it doesn't like one-shot you, only deals a little bit of damage, and then go back to hugging the wall. So pretty much the same strategy done in part 1 of Itchy and Scratchy. Really easy, just stay near the wall, they can't hit you, and you can hit them. Same deal here, you'll be in the kitchen, just walk left to trigger the enemy, and then go back to the wall. Again, you don't want to stay on the left side since there are a ton of like hazards and all that. Just stay right here and you'll be good. And again, I can't stress this enough, like a lot of these enemies can just one-shot you in one hit. It's really mean if you don't know about this trick, and I just remember playing this on Super Nintendo actually. It was my introduction to this game like over a decade ago. And like, man, this game pissed me off. I was really young at the time though. I think it might be well over, it might have been like 2 decades ago. I don't remember, it's been so long. But yeah, thankfully that part isn't too bad. You are able to get an extra life there by hitting the that it's unfortunate that habit. I should be fine. I take a hit there on purpose to go back to the mallet because the fire extinguisher works the same way, in which if you take a hit you just downgrade to the mallet. And as you can see, that mouse trap dealt a lot of damage, but thankfully it wasn't enough to kill me. So I think when you do die, you actually lose your weapon, which could be bad if you're about to like transition to the next screen, since that means like you have to deal with the instant death like enemies without having the mallet, because to have the mallet you need to take a hit, but if they're killing you in one hit, then how can you get the mallet if you're constantly losing the weapon? Thankfully I have it here. You just want to, again, just hug the wall over here and just keep hitting any enemies that come by. Now, after you defeat all enemies here, you will come up against the boss of this level. So there should be a few more coming up. And after you defeat them, an arrow will appear telling you to go to the right. Alright, there we go. So you want to go right and immediately grab the fire extinguisher behind this furnace. Now this is the final boss pretty much. All you have to do is keep hitting the furnace. It doesn't matter if the cage is open or closed, you'll still be doing damage to it. Now, something I gotta mention here, this is where you want to grind points. If anyone who's seen the video where I uploaded all of the endings will know that to get the best ending you need all of the pages and you need at least 125,000 points. Right now I only have 86,000 points, which means we're going to be here for a while if we want to get the best ending. So I am actually going to skip ahead, and I'll see you for when we get to the 125,000 mark. Okay, so now we're getting close to 125,000. This is where I start actually hitting the boss in order to damage it. And in total, the amount of footage I had to cut was about 7 to 8 minutes. So if we have less points than that, it would probably take a bit longer. But yeah, it is a long grind. Thankfully, it's not like forever, and it is pretty easy as long as you time your shots to destroy the fire stars for points. I should mention that these stars will take a life away on hit, so be careful. But yeah, I just started hitting the boss because I know for sure that defeating the boss does grant 2,000 points. So I think I started hitting the boss around like 123,000, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, pretty easy boss, just like hit it a few times and go back to hit the projectiles it shoots out, and sooner or later you'll be done with the boss battle. And yeah, that is all 8 pages of Bart's Nightmare, and now I'll let the ending play. Yep, and that's the best ending to this game. Again, there's no like reason for me to show off the ending since I have already done that previously, but you get the point. The family's reaction would depend on the grade you get. Now, I guess I might as well talk about my thoughts on this game at this point. The credits will play shortly after if you press start. I think it stays on the screen forever if you don't press anything, but I do press start eventually. Bart's Nightmare. You can either love it for its presentation, you can either hate it for its difficulty. I'm gonna be real, I don't really like this game. And it really comes down to like, I'd rather be playing other games over this. Like, how can I put this? If someone asked me to play this game, I'd be like, you know what, sure, whatever. Like, I don't mind. But as for me actively wanting to play this, like, going out of my way to like put the cartridge in and play this, no. Like, this game is stressful in like the worst way possible. It's not like, I don't mind RNG in video games at all. Like, I don't mind it at all, especially like in RPGs and all that. But this game, man, like, you just need everything to go your way in order to get a really good run. But sometimes it takes forever, man. And because of that, like, it's just hard to enjoy it consistently. I feel like there are runs where like I'm having like the worst time possible, and like I just want to turn the game off. And there are runs where like I just get through it in a comfortable manner, which will probably be this run, for example. But yeah, if you like this game, that's cool. And if you hate this game, then yes, I completely understand why you would. So if you like it or hate it, that's perfectly fine. I think it's one of those games, Like, it's not really an in-between kind of thing. You either love it or hate it. And I think for a game like this, that's okay. I hope you enjoyed this long play, and with that said, I'll see you later.